welcome one and all to another fantastic Laser Live on Fridays with Trotec. So happy to have you all here with us. We are monitoring the chat as always, and this is being recorded as always. So if you have any questions for myself or my fantastic co-host Brett, I hope you'll drop them in the chat. First and foremost, though, we are very, very happy to have you with us. Today is going to be a bit different from our standard kind of I say Friday lunch and learns. This is a bit of a special event, not only because it's on a Thursday, but today is a lunch and learn, as we say. It's going to be principally focused on our EDU program, and I'm going to let my co-host tell you all about it. Brett, do you want to introduce yourself? I think this is your first time hopping on these lives with us.
It is. I've been counting down the days to get a little bit of time with you, Don. But I'm super excited. Basically, we've been putting a lot of resources towards the education program, including myself. And so one of the things we're doing is we're beginning to get the word out about some of the resources we're adding. Again, my name is Brett Becker. I'm based in Boise, Idaho, for those of you in the mountain time zone. Some of us aren't quite at our lunch and learn time yet, but we watch it at lunchtime whenever you get that moment. I'm our head of education partnerships. We've done quite a bit over the last few months. If you've been looking at our website, if you've gotten some of our emails, but today we just want to talk through like what some of those resources are, how to access them, and how you can get involved and add to your classroom or your lab space. So,
absolutely. I should add too that we're hoping to have a few more educators and people kind of in the EDU space join us today. If you are joining us from the EDU space and you feel comfortable to do so, feel free to just toss in the chat, sort of what grade area you happen to teach, because we'd love to know sort of where we're getting out to and where we can do further outreach. I think schools has always been a really big priority for Trotec North America. It's something that we'd really like to continue to grow and develop. And so Brett, he'll undersell how hard he's been working, but he's been working really, really hard to put together a fantastic program that, we want to show to you guys today. One other thing I'll mention too, this is the first in kind of, I think, what is going to be a series of EDU-based streams. So if there's ever one that you miss, don't be worried. As always, all of our streams are up on our YouTube page. You can check them out there. And if you have any questions and you're watching this later on YouTube, feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll do our best to get back to you as quick as we can. We're about 5 minutes in already. Brett, did you want to kind of kick us off? What's the first thing we wanted to look at?
Let's take a look at our website. And basically, first of all, how do we get to the EDU resource page? And tying into what you'd mentioned, we will be doing plenty more of these. If you have feedback, if you've got a certain target area or something you feel like you would like to learn more about, and you feel like it's enough time we could spend a 40-minute webinar on it, we are super open to that. We want to meet you where you need to be for your classroom. But so starting off here, this is our Trotec, mytrotec.com. You are likely familiar with this if you've ever scheduled any kind of service, maintenance, or just wanted to talk to your technician. This is the MyTrotec page that you get to go to. And so in this instance, and I'm looking to the side here where my screen is, we've got this EDU tab. It's shiny new, and you can go through a few different options on here to get to the information you need. Today we're going to go through a quick run through on what's here. And then really we're going to talk about some fundraising. That's the meat of what we're going to get to today. So as I click on the EDU, potentially, okay, this is our theme, Don. As you and I spoke with the other day, we empower schools. We've worked with quite a few owners, and I know you and I have talked about this particularly. Owners, they're busy. They're starting a business. They're trying to keep things moving along. They're looking to hire folks to run their lasers. And that's one of the key things that we feel like we offer is we're helping to train those students so they are very hireable as they step into the workforce. But empowering schools is really what we're striving to accomplish here. And this chart really helps when you go back towards admin and talk about resources, adding a laser in the first place. Maybe you've got a peer that's asking you, how did you get your laser? We've tried to make it a fun wheel here of different items that we want to help you cover. And a couple of the key things, Ruby software, we won't get into that as much today, but Ruby is an industry software that you can know that software and get a job and be very confident and comfortable that you're walking into the workforce with some skills that are going to instantly make you valuable in the role. So these are some key places here. Go through quickly through the wheel. Fundraising, operational savings, Don showed me some signage that he had worked with the company, and schools can make this exact same signage in-house, save some money. We work through some funding ideas. We cover North America, as Don mentioned. Plenty of experiences where funding has been edited, changed, especially in this climate and day and age. And we've got some ideas where we can help potentially if you are looking for some items there.
Definitely.
Well, cool. Well, let me run through here. I think what really makes the key to all of these is you're not alone. This isn't the first school or company or university to add a laser. We've seen plenty, and there's a lot of examples. We've spent a lot of time capturing these stories and sharing them with you so you can get through some ideas. And here are some of the partners that are currently using them, and we're excited to see this list here.
Absolutely. So a question for you, just very generally, as concerns kind of the EDU page as you see it, Brett. Who is this themed around? I mean, is this for parents and students to visit? Is this around educators who are interested in a laser to visit? Is this for people who already have a laser in their classroom to visit? Kind of who do you see as benefiting the most from visiting the EDU page?
That's such a good question, Don. A couple of years ago, the question came up pretty often. Do we get a 3D printer? Do we just get a saw? Do we get a laser cutter? There was all these different areas to try to accomplish creativity and creating for the classroom. And it's turned into one, yes, we know we need a laser. We're comfortable with what they do, but there's a lot of them out there. And so we want to talk about which laser is the best for your lab, for your classroom. And we really, this is who this is created for, whether it's parents, PTA, admin, so they can look through and see the advantages of a Trotec laser in your program. And so that's who this is for. If you're considering adding another one, if you're considering what are the benefits of a Trotec over another model that you've looked at in the past, this is the place where you can take a look at some of those items right here.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And so as we go through that drop down, quickly, I just wanted to capture a few more items. So we talk a lot about being hireable, walking into the workspace, and that's where the CTE programs really come into place. We've got so many folks that are able to take the skills that they've learned in their CTE program, whether that's entrepreneurship, maybe it's manufacturing, maybe construction, and use those skills moving forward. Our architectural programs do quite a bit as well when you look through the items. And we've got some terrific stories to share the benefits of getting that laser going and moving forward in your space. So that's what this first is about.
I will say too that I think we feel very fortunate, to sort of Brett's point, we feel very fortunate to have gotten to work with so many secondary scholarly institutions, whether they be colleges, universities, trade schools, that sort of thing. But yeah, I can't say enough, as Brett is pointing out, about how much our mission is to sort of empower students and get them in a position where they can move right from that university position into that job ready position. I mean, obviously it benefits us as a laser manufacturer, where if we can get you already started using our software and using our machine, when you get into that professional role, you know exactly which machine you're looking for. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, for those students out there applying to modern companies, a lot of them do run Trotecs, right? So if we can put your student in a position, whether it be in even elementary school, high school, secondary school, obviously in different levels of complexity, but where they are already comfortable, they've already got that first step into the software and the laser. I mean, it can't help but be a benefit as they figure out, what path they maybe want to pursue next.
Absolutely. And a laser unlocks so many creative avenues as well. I often, I'm looking at some of the items created in the background in your room there, Don, like a guitar and fun items there that who would have thought a skateboard is something that's often, maybe you couldn't fit it in a smaller laser, but the Trotecs are large enough you can add something like that in there. And I had an educator walk up to me the other day and said, imagine if this is your day, you get to engrave on your skateboard or engrave on the leather on your shoe, for example. You're not in this school that day. You're definitely going to be at school, and helps with attendance as well when they can capture something that maybe they haven't been able to capture beyond that. So really love that.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, and this is something I know you're going to get into in a little bit, so I don't want to steal your thunder or get ahead of you, but I do want to kind of preface this in saying that I think it can be easy, because you mentioned the variety of stuff behind me here. I think it can be easy to start thinking about the laser as only an addendum to shop class, or areas where the laser seems like a natural fit. But again, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think there are so many exciting ways that you can use a laser in a school that are apart from just manufacturing, fabricating.
Absolutely. And I've had this happen time and time again, even personally. Once you start using the laser, you start wrapping your mind around it, you start walking around the classroom, or you're walking through the lab, and you're
Yes.
like, oh, I could on that, I could engrave on that, we could make those. And so it's really opens those ideas up. And I get really passionate about the creativity and the things you can do. But let's face it, there's also plenty of things that can also be utilitarian, as far as signage and items that you would just use every day in the building. So
Yes.
Very cool. But yeah. One of the things that we'd really like to highlight, that we think this is critical, especially when students are involved, is the safety. And so we've highlighted a major portion of what we're talking about here, from safety on the machine itself. It can't open. The glass is set so you can still watch the laser fire. It's not going to hurt. But there's also plenty of other items that you want to make sure. We were all in middle school at some point, and I don't think I could have trusted myself without a little bit of guidance. And so we put together some ideas to help with basics on what you should and shouldn't be doing around the laser, and also some of the materials that are items that are better to use in the laser, and maybe some that would not be as optimal to use in a laser device. So
definitely. Do you have sort of a top 3 things that maybe you would recommend for school labs, or for a school that was thinking about bringing in a laser? Is there some sort of safety, overarching guidelines that maybe you would tell them to stick to, or
Absolutely. And people might want to add some personal things that they've done in the chat as well. I think it's great. But when you look at things like a first training program, some schools I've worked with, they'll have a program where the first time you walk in, there's a certain project that you do that builds safety, so you can end up walking out, and maybe they make themselves a badge as part of the ending that program, so they're safe with that.
Sure.
Certificates, maybe posting a restricted materials list if it's maybe in a lab that's not as maintained for a higher ed lab, things like that, to just make sure that people are aware of what you should and shouldn't use in the laser, and how you can use it safely. So yeah, great point. And we can, as we work to set this up and install it, it's one of the benefits of working with Trotec is we do come on site to help you install it, and we can help talk through some of the safety. Maybe there's signage you make around the laser if it's applicable to your program.
Yes. I would say too, you mentioned Ruby earlier, and I think Ruby is a great advocate for educators on this side, where because Ruby requires a login before you can get the laser to do anything, everything becomes password protected. So you're in a position where students can't access the laser any more or less than you have already deemed as appropriate. So you're able to empower them. At the same time, you're able to be sure that, if the teacher leaves the room to go take care of something, they're not suddenly running up there and making signs that say, who knows what.
Absolutely. And to that end, we also have classroom management guide available that you can download as well from one of our resources that help talk through some of the, not only safety, but best practices, just things to help make it a smooth experience for whoever's managing the lab or the classroom, and the users on the other end of it. It's important to point out too, as you mentioned with Ruby, it's on premise. You don't need to access the internet to use the software as well. And I think that's really important in a school environment. It helps IT feel a lot safer about what's being used on that device. So.
Yes. Good point.
Okay, so let's keep on moving, because I want to save time for our fundraising ideas here. But we talked a little bit about the curriculum, and we talked about some of the safety, classroom management. I'm very proud of some of the curriculum we've added. In fact, we've got so many lesson plans. Some of them we haven't added to the sheet yet, so you can ask for some specific ones. Anywhere from even in esports. I'm so excited about things like esports, where kids are creating a gamer tag. We've got a lesson plan that talks around some of the things that they can do in that environment. But curriculum, how does it tie back to ISTE standards? We want to make sure that it aligns with program guidelines and anything that you want to manage. But
as a quick point on this too, Brett, just to clarify, even if you don't own a Trotec, am I able to come to the EDU page of my Trotec and download these lessons and these sorts of things if I'm interested in, or if I have we have Corbin here in the chat who mentions that he's currently running a design studies program and they use epilogue engravers. So if he was excited to come on and test out some of our lesson plans, obviously you might have to adapt them slightly to the lasers that he's using, but we certainly won't hold you against you using epilogues. I think these are free to download, are they?
We're not friendly towards anyone that doesn't have a Trotec. I'm just kidding. No, these are aligned. It's actually a terrific question. These are aligned very specifically with universal guidelines such as ISTE standards that can be leveraged in the classroom. And as you go through, many of them have the design and cut files that you can use, but also sometimes the lesson plan itself is for the student to design that cut file and create the item for themselves. And so anywhere from being able to start with something that you want to ask or to move forward with these in particular, these are certainly available to that. So and we love that you're exploring a Trotec if you don't currently have one. So this is perfect. So, cool. Let's see. So anyway, this is the curriculum guide. Lots of items here. We spent a lot of time with the classroom guide, the safety standards, and we want to make sure that those are available for everyone that's moving here. We do have an advocate program as well. We're excited to see that kicked off. Some of you may be participating in that right now. We just had our initial batch move forward, and we're kicking off some great ideas there. But the things we're looking for is someone that's excited about a Trotec laser, someone that's using it in their program, someone that's managing a lab, has some terrific projects that they can share, because this is one of those things that get better. The more people that are using it, the more people that are sharing what they're doing on social media, it just gets to be more fun. And it sparks those ideas like we talked about with your guitar or with other things that you see people doing. So that's what the advocates are here to help do. And it's one thing for me, clearly I work for Trotec, so I'm very pro Trotec. However, yes, but whenever someone's able to show, this is what it looks like in the real world, this is what it looks like in my lab, that goes a long way to show that it is actually able to accomplish what we want it to do.
Absolutely.
And at the bottom here, I tucked away some more projects because we've got so darn many cool projects. I tucked a few more here. These are from some of our advocates in the past where they've been able to capture some really cool projects anywhere from, and again, this talks about the span of what they can do. Any puzzles, we've got sports, we've got fashion with the rave gear here. I mean, where does it stop when you start looking at these? So, cool. And I'm still scrolling.
I was gonna say, I do see some of these that I put up on YouTube with maybe perhaps more clickbaity headlines than they deserved. I apologize. That's my fault. I'll take the.
When I look at these, and I'll be honest, half the time I'll see them and I'm like, just the title sparks an idea of, oh my gosh, we should have a lesson plan based on anatomy. Or in fact, we do. I have I broke it when I was getting this is the hand project where students design it and then they create it together. My finger broke as I was literally pulling it up here just now. They do, but articulating hands to talk about joints and movements and things like that. I was inspired from your anatomy project to get one, so that's where some of these are coming from. So very, very cool.
And it's interesting too to look at some of these. I mean, much as I joke about the titles, the PCB boards, for example, that we see there is a great example where it's something that I know even recently on a more sales side of things, I've been contacted by companies looking to do precisely this application, right? And I will say, having had the opportunity in shooting some of these videos and being around some of our students that we've worked with in the past, it consistently blows me away what they're capable of, even at a high school age. Just when you open the doors to them and say, under supervision, of course, but kind of go crazy, right? Let's see, talk to me through what you'd like to achieve and let's talk about it. I mean, that hand is a great example. The engraving of PCB boards, that anatomy project was one that our student Justin there actually brought in with him, and one that he sort of said, would this be possible? And we sort of figured out a way to make it work. But it's unbelievable the things that students are, as I'm sure we don't need to tell teachers, I'm sure they encounter this every single day, but what students are capable of doing when you just sort of open the doors and say, okay, here's this incredible thing, within guidelines, of course, but what would you like to do?
Absolutely. And even along with some of the other applications you may be doing in the school, we've created parts to go along with the little Sphero robots. We've created some of the things that go along with the Makey-Doos, the items that go in and more of the K-12 space. But we've also moved into some of the higher robotics areas. My son is in college and he's in a Baja program. They're creating an actual go-kart to race in a Baja machine, and he's using the laser to create parts to rapid prototype whenever he's moving towards before they move to the actual metal creation. So really exciting to see some of the accomplishments there. But I also like to point out too, we talk about some of the big pieces and big parts. We've got some history lessons. This is one it's a then and now project. This is another lesson plan we have, and it's more focused on the actual outcome of, I can hold it up, the outcome with history. So it's a simple a wood cutout. They design a piece of wood. They've got 2 photos, and then they can create something for a display. And these are very impressive in the hallway whenever parent-teacher night, things like that, when we have projects like that. So everywhere across the board. And I can't forget about trophies and plaques. We'll talk more about that in the fundraising section, but you've got a great video here of that one as well. So cool. I get very excited about the projects, as you can tell, but I want to make sure we have time for the fundraising. And also higher education. I talked a little bit about some of the items that are happening there. You mentioned beyond traditional shop class. It really goes back to some of those architectural models. I saw some really cool ones. Blinn Architectural School, they're doing some items where they're doing creating the actual models of the homes or the buildings or the landscapes with multi-faceted areas. They're 3D printing some of the grass components, then they're adding the walls with the wood and cardboard. We always forget about cardboard, very inexpensive way to create and add it to the classroom as well.
Absolutely.
So we go through those. And again, some more projects because I can't help myself. These are great.
Well, and you mentioned history products. That Vimy Ridge one there was one of my favorites that we did previously. That also very history inspired. Right, a topographic map with individual pieces cut out for each of the main kind of players in that historical battle. But just a great way for people to kind of visualize something that occurred once upon a time. And as you said, looks fantastic when parents come through on a parent-teacher night or whatever it might be. Yeah,
absolutely. And also incredibly impactful for students trying to create a portfolio as they graduate school, graduate college. They can have the items that they've created there. So from anywhere from the higher ed space down to, again, middle school and below parent-teacher night. And again, the soft spot of my heart, the topographical maps, I don't have one here to show, but one of the favorite things I've ever seen people create with lasers, because whether it's you've got a cabin with a small lake somewhere and you can create a very personalized version of that. You can't buy that on Amazon. And that's what I love about lasers, is the things that you can have that didn't exist anywhere else.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. The one we've all been waiting for here, EDU fundraising. And Don, I'll tell you, I talk to lots of folks, and as you can tell, I get excited about the curriculum and the lesson plans, but it really boils down to, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to get money? And especially, again, with the current climate right now, fundraising is very much key to what we want to talk about. And so that's really the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to cover today. And so anywhere from, some of the more obvious ones that we've seen with school swag and be able to create even pencils for the school store, to some pretty exciting things that I've seen some of the schools accomplish. I brought this basketball here, and I had to deflate it because my dog thinks it's a really fun toy if I don't have holes in it. But you can see we're able to engrave the Spurs logo. This was at an event we had, and then the Trotec. And again, this was right at a minute, and this one was about a minute and a half to create something like this. This can be done at the snack shack. This can be done at a basketball game if you've got the school logo. And also, how cool is that? Maybe someone has a really good game and you're able to instantly cover that, and it's done before the end of the game. Things like that. It's on the fly that you're able to create with those. And have a really good example in particular of that. I was at an example the other day and showing this basketball off, and this group came up and they said, well, that's all fine and good. The basketball team, they already get all the funding. Volleyball team, we don't need the funding. And so she was going to use this specifically for the volleyball senior night, and they were going to use it as a fundraiser, because what's cool about that is they were able to use that as not only a fundraiser, but engage that into some of the entrepreneurship pathways for the CTE program. So yes, someone's got to go source this, for as cheap as possible. Someone's got to design it, someone's got to manufacture it, and then someone's got to do the selling on it. And so it really incorporates that whole entire business aspect of what they want to accomplish. And so love seeing items like that we can work through.
Well, and you sort of touched on it briefly earlier, but I wanted to mention this too. You mentioned trophies. There are so many items that schools need on a year in, year out basis that are not cheap necessarily to manufacture, right? Things like trophies, things like jerseys, even if so I loved your idea about marking the basketball for, commemoration purposes of a particular event, of maybe it's a tournament that's won by the local team, but also even for traceability, right? I don't know how many, when I was in high school, how many balls and helmets and just stuff goes missing, right? Just because students aren't necessarily, when I was 13, I wasn't as careful with things maybe as I should have been, not implicating myself on the internet at all, but even still. But, just that traceability aspect of, being able to buy blank jerseys and create your own numbers and logos in Twill, being able to make the trophies that your students receive and personalize them in a bigger way than you could by just buying a trophy off the rack, right? Lots of stuff that you need as a school year in and year out and can manufacture yourself at a much lower overall cost than you might do if you had to source that stuff from outside, right?
Absolutely. And I spoke with a school the other day that they label their game balls before all. It was a college baseball team, and they label them all, and they were spending an incredible amount on that. So we started talking about not only avoiding that fee, but then turning it around and saving money, but then also making money by then selling them. And one of the folks we work with, and I think I'm set to change my tab here. We did this at a Clippers game not too long back, and this is on our website. You could take a look at this, but there's some of the details on how this went to elevate the fan experience. This is at an NBA game. You expect to be blown away when you go to an NBA game. This is something you could do at a high school game or a college game, and get that same type of experience for those folks attending, and way to set your program apart, right?
Yes, the machine is exactly the same. We would sell you the same 360 as the Clippers. We're very happy to equip you with just as much power as an NBA team if you need it.
Absolutely. So anyway, I thought that was super fun. But you also mentioned awards, and so I just got this yesterday, Don. I haven't even got a chance to use it yet. This is going to reflect on my screen here. But so what this is some of the Trotec material, and see it's black on the back, and it's this beautiful gold on the front. So when you engrave that, it pulls that, so you can pull through the lettering. And it's what a great basis to create some awards for it. Oh yeah, you must.
I'm gonna look and see. I might have something here that I could show, but yes, here we are. So in a very similar kind of style, but just.
Oh yeah, those are great. The plaques, and I love this. Yeah, this,
as Brett's saying, just a 2-layer plastic, very simple to do, very, very simple.
And it looks incredible, and again, it offers the students a chance to be creative and design this, and incredibly cost effective. We have anywhere from just the black on white version of that, so you can make like utilitarian signs, something for an electrical panel. It's the exact same thing that they do for those. Yeah, all the different colors. It's so many different cool things that you can look at with the materials. And again, we sell these. We're excited to share those, because we know that opens the door to so many creative ideas. If you've got materials like that already, that's fine, you can use those, but we really get excited about these, and it's going to work. It's going to work as intended, and it's got the material settings and the Ruby software already. So I think that's really important that we cover the materials. So yeah, you think Valentine's Day coming up, what about red on white? Even the Halloween Ghostbusters logo, I was looking at that a little bit yesterday, Don. The red and white, if you engrave the Ghostbusters sign on it, I mean, totally
doable, 100% doable. And I I know what I'm doing this afternoon now. I will say too, you mentioned earlier, just really quickly to touch on the fact too, so Brett's exactly right. Not only are the material settings and all this stuff contained already built into the software as a database, but as Brett mentioned when we first started the stream, any Trotec laser comes with training. So don't be intimidated by there being 10, 20, 30 different materials, because we're going to walk you through kind of step by step of how to run these. So it's not just we're not just going to turn you loose. That's for you to do with your students. We're going to make sure that you know, back to front what you're doing, so that when we put you in front of the students, you can feel very comfortable and kind of confident.
Yeah, and that's Don. I would say if you take away nothing else from this meeting, especially for those of you that aren't familiar with Trotec, that's really what the critical point of having a Trotec machine will do for you is someone comes on site, they will set it up and show you how to use it. So when you walk into it, you don't have, gosh, I guess I'll watch some YouTube videos, or I guess I'll have to play around with it. And
yes.
I've had admin come before and say, this is just the boat anchor, like no one's using this machine, it's a dust collector on other products, but been able to have someone on site to show you, if you just inherited this machine, set up a time where we can come and show you how to use it, to make sure someone is able to use it. So
that's a great point. Yes, I'll mention too the fact that we have offices all across the United States and Canada. So if you are a teacher who's just getting into a new classroom, and perhaps we trained the previous educator that was in there and now you're just coming in, reach out to your local Trotec. Head to troteclaser.com. It'll give you the contact information for wherever your closest office is. And again, we'd be very happy to kind of figure something out where we can stop in, as Brett says, and get you up to speed. We want to be sure that this isn't a boat anchor, as he said, that it's something that you feel confident and that you feel, I mean, I don't want to keep using the word empowered, but it really is the best, most, applicable word, right? It really is where we want to get you going and make sure that you feel comfortable and confident, so you can pass that along to your students.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you sitting there saying, wait a second, this is sounding like more of a sales conversation than an education conversation. The reason why I get passionate about that is because there are plenty of them out on the market right now. And it's hard to get funding, and you want to make the right choice. And so that's why I do firmly believe that this is one that's going to set you apart and make your program successful. But to that end, I also want to share some other things that have been quick and easy fundraisers. When you think through, like, how can I make some money quickly? Hats. Like, this was a great hat that was pretty unaffordable off of Amazon. Get the leather patch. It can be iron on. It looks like it's the stitching. It's one of the fancy ones. It looks like it's stitching, but it's super cool that it just you can iron it on and it sticks really well. So that's a quick one. The mugs, I made this one the other day. This one, I don't have the rotary here, but it would have been really cool if I had the rotary to make one, because it could have been a larger area around it. But these are probably some of the quickest and easiest ones that you can get started with. We've all got water bottles. We've all got mugs. I donate them all the time whenever the kids bring them home, because we've got so many of them. But I'll tell you the ones that I hang on to, the ones that are special because they've got a logo that I've worked with, or the names or things like that. And that's yes. What we'll spend a little bit of money on. So yeah, those are important ones. And again, it really goes back to, this is very, very quick. This was a 90-second. No, this wasn't even 90 seconds. This was like a 1 minute engrave. You start doing the math on how many of those can you do, whether it's a class period or to prep for an event. If you pre-order, those are the items that can really start helping to pay for your laser program and other travel for the teams, things like that.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but there was one program you told me about that I think you've helped to launch with previous schools that I thought was really interesting, and you kind of touched on it earlier, which is kind of entrepreneurship side. How can a laser help for students to learn entrepreneurship? Because when I see those products, I see things that students, like you said, could be offering and manufacturing easily. I mean, we try and make it look fancy and complicated when we do these streams, because I want to feel like I'm showing something, but yeah. Brett's right. I mean, it is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where we start looking at what the students can accomplish. How can they give back? I was actually at the Skills USA competition a year ago, and one of the teams came up to me, and Skills is very special to me because they work really hard not only to develop a skill, but also be able to, they speak. That's part of it, is they look you in the eye and you have the conversation with them, and it's really important to development. But they said they absolutely would not have been able to attend with their entire team had they not been able to create with these fundraiser ideas. And so they in particular made puzzles that they could sell. So they had they did it for Mother's Day and Father's Day, bring in photos, and then they adhered him to a piece of wood, and they created a puzzle out of it, and that's how they were to bring their team to that competition, because they couldn't have attended otherwise. And I thought, how cool is that? Having kids in school, and I've seen some of the fundraisers are just fill out this form and send a check, and like that's fine to help support. But how cool is it whenever there's a tangible item that's a keepsake, and they can feel empowered that they really earned their way to go to those that travel, that sports game.
It makes me reflect back on some of the homemade Mother's and Father's Day presents that I made for my parents back in the day, and really feel a little like, ooh, I was phoning it in on some of those. I'll have to maybe make up for it now. But I think, to supplement that, I would say I think the wildest or the most interesting, perhaps, the one that sticks out in my mind in terms of a fundraising idea that I've seen a school use was actually a bake sale, where they used the laser as a way to personalize the individual cakes and cookies and things by marking right on the surface of them, right? Where just a really out of the box idea, which is why it sticks out of my brain, but is totally doable again with a Trotec. I mean, given the opportunity to buy a cookie with my name on it, it feels like every cookie has my name on it already, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Well, if you've never had a pumpkin pie with something engraved on the side, you're missing out.
Yes.
Fun. Or I've seen folks actually engrave their jack-o'-lantern with that too. So that's changes the game for Halloween when we start talking about that. But
absolutely.
Another one that's really been a popular fundraiser, luggage tags, especially for sports teams. They've got traveling luggage. They all oftentimes look the same when they're throwing them into the bottom of the bus there. So been able to either provide from the school or sell those just really are mind blowing. I have a friend actually. Her daughter's a cheerleader at another school. They were coming back into town with the entire team, and she wanted to make them gift baskets. So they made these leather luggage tags, the entire thing. I wish I had a photo of one here. They made the leather luggage tag, engraved the whole thing, personalized it with the name, put it on the gift bags, and they became so popular. The coach saw them. The coach wanted to know how to do it, so they added that to their program. Actually, they ended up getting a laser so they could then create that for help support their travel, help support the boosters, help support all the items there. And so again, it's a way to give back once you start seeing some of the cool things that are able to be accomplished with that. But again, I want to share one quick thing here.
Please.
Laser Dave, many of you probably know, he created this guide. And so it's like, okay, this is great. Brendan, you could talk about the money that you can make whenever you start looking at these fundraisers, but this is a guide where this is real world, real dollars when it starts getting to it. Some of these, like these the water bottle I held up, when you start looking at some of the name brand ones, they're selling for quite a bit and they don't have your name on them. And so those are items you start thinking about. How do you create and make this work for you? So, I won't get too deep into the details here, but he basically put, what's your monthly rate? This is if you were going to, purchase it through financing. Maybe PTA might help with financing, but a lot of schools you'll purchase outright. So this may not be as specific there, but it helps you figure out what you need to at least make per month to help it be worthwhile.
Yes.
But so I start looking at some of these profit margins, and you may have worked with folks in the past too to try to justify, does this ROI make sense for what I'm able to do with a business? But it's the same type of thing here when you look at these mugs. He's got the parameters. This is the speed and the settings. He's got how much time it's going to take to make each one, down to how much time we have to spend in the day, translate that to classroom period, or maybe bring in folks after hours to do it. And they can work through, see what their profit margin is going to be. Really cool to see these types of projects. So it's not just us saying like, oh, trust us, you can make some money. This is real numbers that you can look at for your program and help grow that from there.
100%. And Brett makes a good point too, that this is something that every salesperson discusses with their customers on a regular basis. So if you reach out to Trotec, do not hesitate to ask us about ways in which we can help with these sorts of calculations. I mean, obviously, as Brett pointed out earlier, we're going to be biased. We're going to be kind of pushing you towards a Trotec because we feel confidently that it's the best laser for the application. But at the same time, these are the sorts of conversations we have all the time. So definitely, if you're looking for ideas, don't hesitate to ask. We're obviously chock-a-block with them. We've got a whole webinar here talking you through them. I wanted to ask you too, Brett, how we feel about grant applications. Is this something that we're able to help schools with a little bit? Or because obviously, a lot of the schools that I've worked with in the past have purchased their lasers through grants, right? Through equipment grants and things like that. So is that something we feel comfortable to be able to kind of assist in either a major or minor way?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a list of plenty of grants that I've just stumbled into just from supporting folks across the country, but also I've seen plenty of grants that have been successfully moved forward, and happy to share tips and tricks and things that I've seen that make a grant request successful. Grants they're always tricky because it's one of those things where you don't quite know when they'll make the decision. You don't quite know when the money will arrive. But
Yes.
if we do the hard work on the front end and we start doing the planning to get there, it starts becoming this repeatable process. So we can use it to get the laser. Then we use it to get some material or a supplemental machine once we see this is how it's impacting the school and the program. It's time for another one, and we start building from that. So yeah, I love that question. Happy to support and share tips and tricks from things that I've seen be successful on that.
Fantastic. I know that obviously Brett, as he mentions, is based out of the United States too, but Brett has a wide experience, like scope of experience. So if you're in Canada, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to Brett. He is here to help regardless of where you're calling from. He's seen so many lasers installed in so many schools that he is going to have some form of backup or some form of experience that I think is going to be applicable regardless of where you're calling from.
Well, whether you're on a front lines educator, whether you manage a lab, administrative side of things, or at the district level, happy to have that connection to support and help you move forward. But one of the other things, and I know we're running short on time here. Clearly, I'm passionate, have lots to say about it. But whenever you look at some of these lasers, the crafting lasers are terrific to get started, and you kind of understand what's capable of using with a laser. And we've seen a lot of schools kind of started at that spot. Now they start realizing, oh my gosh, I can actually make money. Oh, this will impact the program. Students are clamoring to get to use this when it's in the lab, and they sign up all the time to use it. All of a sudden, it makes more sense to have a professional grade laser that can operate really quickly so students can get in and out, so everyone can have time to create something in the class period. Because that's another key to having a successful laser program is scheduling and maintaining and making sure there's materials available, and the laser is able to stay maintained because we've got a tech that can come on site and do that for you. And so these are the types of things that I always say, ask these questions of yourself, of your administrator, as the program is looking to become successful, because if fundraising is the key, you need to have a lot of uptime. You need to have, instantly walk in and be able to use that laser. And this is the program that will let you do that. So. Yeah.
I will say too, part of the reason that I sort of touched on it in the beginning, but if part of your goal is also about equipping students for their future professions, so many businesses run Trotec lasers as their primary kind of laser, equipment, that giving your students the opportunity to work with what is basically a one-to-one of what they will encounter in their professional experience is also kind of an added benefit for them, as you pointed out, for things like portfolios, but then also just in terms of familiarity with the software, right? The same reason that you're training students on Photoshop or Illustrator as opposed to on Microsoft Paint, it's that most likely when they get out into the professional, that's the sort of, it's verisimilitude, it's what they're going to be using when they get out there. So being able to give them that exact one-to-one connection is the nice thing too. But no, you're exactly right.
Love that.
Yeah,
well, that's great. Well, I don't know if we had any questions in the chat we wanted to address, but while you're looking for those, I will mention, in the spirit of fundraising and all the things happening, we do have a special on the Speedy 100 and the 300, which are these machines that can really help the program, help the fundraising. Reach out to either Don or myself or your rep locally if you are looking to have a little more information on those two particular machines, and we can tell you the pros and the cons of which ones would fit best for what you're trying to accomplish. So.
Absolutely. I will say too, not so many questions from the chat at the moment, but there was one that I wanted to ask you that I think is more just kind of a practical day in and day out question. Average laser, let's say it is a 100 or a 300, as you say, if they're excited about this offer and they look into getting a 100 or 300, what is sort of that typical turnaround time between, okay, we're going to go for it, Brett, let's do this, and then installation into the school? Is it, long period, short period? Is it a quick turnaround? What does that usually look like?
Yeah, well, and as we all know, working with the budgets in the school, getting that, once you get the green light, there's still some things to do behind the scenes. And so
Sure.
once that you've got that green light and things are ready to move forward, we can move very quickly. We're excited. We've got actually, that's why partly why we're doing this special on the 100 and the 300 is because we did anticipate some back to school programs right now, and so we do have those in stock ready to come out. And so it's just a matter of getting it scheduled, and we can align with the person that's local to support you to make sure it fits the timeline you need it to be. Whether some folks like to have it done whenever the students aren't in the classroom, some like to do it, just get it done as soon as we can, but we can align and meet your schedule and get an installer there for you.
I will say too, if it's something that works for you, both in I know certainly in Florida and surrounding area. I know in Canada, in Eastern Canada and Western Canada, we have some vans that are equipped with lasers. So if it's something where you'd like to have us come on site and do kind of a live demonstration for you, there's no obligation, there's no cost, but it's something that, obviously the laser represents a considerable investment, and Brett and I can talk about it until we're blue in the face, but to be able to actually see the laser running kind of there in front of you, to be able to show, we understand that a school is a unique opportunity in as much as there are a lot of people who have to say yes, right? It's not perhaps just a principal who's going to sign off on this. There may be school board members, there may be, greater factions at play, right? So if it's something where bringing the laser on site to a PD day or something like that, where we can show educators, get them excited about it, we're very, very happy to do that. If you reach out to us kind of locally, again, troteclaser.com, it'll give you the local Trotec that you can contact. We're very, very happy to come on site and show that to you.
Oh yeah, that's one of those things. This is a type of machine that, I wouldn't just look at it on the web and buy it. I would, certainly want to get my hands on it and see what it's capable of. And it's also, again, even I can hold up these projects, and I'm sure you have some cool things there that are some of the sample materials, whether, rubber stamps, some of the pieces on glass and nice thick acrylic. It's one thing to hear us talk about it or see a picture on the website, but I'm blown away every single time I see it in real life, and the tangible, feeling on it. It is a difference in the laser because of the ceramic tubes, because of the quality and the speed and the way it's able to do that. So yeah, I certainly invite you to take a look and get a demo and come to one of our sites. We've got showcase rooms everywhere too. So
absolutely. Well, and again, as a starting point, check out those videos that Brett put up on the EDU section of the My Trotec, because realistically, they are a great place to start getting the mind turning. And if you're looking to get people excited, in your local school and say, hey, I think maybe we should reach out and have them come on site. Here is something that I was looking at, and I thought we could apply this to, this program, or wouldn't it be cool to be able to do, XYZ, this kind of thing. Again, it's mytrotec.ca or .com, depending on if you're United States or Canada. But there's just a fantastic resource here, and definitely, go and check it out. Even if you are not currently running a Trotec laser, this is a really cool thing for anybody who's interested in kind of the EDU side of what lasers can bring to a school.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited to share. Clearly, I'm excited. I'm really get fired up of seeing what people do with it. And I would invite you to check our social media site, especially the Instagrams. There's plenty of photos of projects there. We're at Trotec EDU, or we're at Trotec Laser. So take a look, and if you're posting something, tag us on them. We're excited to see those too. And it's one of those things, I don't know about you, Don, every single time I make something or I see somebody make something that laser fires up, I sit there and I stare at it. I love watching the laser.
Yes.
It's so fun to watch it go. And it's the same thing when you see those projects. And so I do look at them all the time. I love to watch them. And that's, maybe I'm just a nerd with it, but it is very exciting and satisfying to watch all the things that, especially students that are excited about their work and what they can do. So.
Absolutely. Especially when, when I was a student and I was aspiring to be, XYZ profession, anytime I got to interact with something that even felt like I was taking a step in that direction got me extra excited. If you're a nerd, I'm definitely right there with you.
Well, cool.
As Brett said, we're kind of getting up to the end of the stream here. We don't want to keep it going for too long. Again, we're going to do a series of these, so we're going to be in a position where we want you guys to be able to review them, check them out, refer back to them. You can find these on our YouTube channel, and Brett is exactly right. Make sure to check out our social media channels, where we're always posting new projects and new things to get your imagination excited about it. Don't mean to put you on the spot, Brett, but any kind of final thoughts or any sort of final main takeaways that you'd like people to to take away from the stream today, or to do as an action item going forward?
Yeah, I would definitely invite you to check a look at some of the resources. Please give feedback. We're always looking for feedback.
Yeah.
If you're looking for anything in particular as far as a lesson plan, or you're like, gosh, I'd like to add this to my program, but we're really missing something, please talk to us. We've got a few things that are in the works we could still incorporate. We've got that certification program that's coming. It should be ready to go in the next few days, where you could actually give this quiz to your students. They could put it on their LinkedIn, they could put it on their resume, they could add it to, as a professional resource. So little things like that. We're continuing to iterate. And so we want this to be an interactive community. So anything that you can do to participate and share, we're very, very open to working with you on that. So.
Awesome. Well, listen, I think we'll leave it there. We thank everybody very much for watching. And if you're watching later on YouTube, a big thank you to you as well. Make sure to join us for the next EDU or Trotec stream, which is going to be announced on YouTube, as always, in the same way as it always is. And again, also on our social media channels, our email newsletters, all of those things. If you have any questions, as Brett said, do not hesitate to reach out to us through any of those channels, or just by giving us a call. Head to troteclaser.com. It'll give you the local phone number, and you will be certain that we'll put you in contact with the right person. We hope you've enjoyed the stream. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everybody.